I emerge from the depths of the great blue sea, only to find that my clothes are torn and ragged, and that my left knee is bleeding. As I crawl upon the shore, breathing heavily, I notice I have arrived on a lonesome deserted island. The harsh sun nearly blinded me as I looked up at the sky. A parade of white puffy clouds quietly crept across the horizon, occasionally blocking the relentless sun. I then look back at the ocean. I spot floating planks of rusted broken wood pieces floating about, bobbing up and down in the water. What exactly happened here? Alas, I did not remember how I got stranded here in the first place, but what I did know is that I was going to be stuck here, or at least for quite a while, and it wasn't going to be easy. I managed to pick myself up and get on my feet, quickly wiping off the tiny bits of sand and threads of seaweed that stuck to my torn pants. And then, for a brief moment, I was lost in thought. I was a castaway now, so how exactly was I going to survive in this tropical oasis? I didn't even know where to begin. But everyone's got to start somewhere, right? I started by searching for some shelter. I eventually found a small cave near the shore that was densely hidden by the tropical vegetation that consumed every nook and cranny of the island. The indigenous wildlife here was quite remarkable and acted as an invisible barrier to shield myself from any island dangers that may be lurking about. I made use of the abnormally large leaves growing in the bushes so that I could wrap them around me when I drift off to sleep and spin myself into a green cocoon. Perhaps I would awaken into a majestic noble butterfly and flit my way off this hellscape of a paradise. The sun was beginning to set, and my stomach was growling. Unfortunately, food would have to wait until tomorrow, but it wasn't too late to find some fresh water. I trekked deeper into the lush forest, and my patience and endurance lead me to a breathtaking sight. So breathtaking that it was hard to imagine it was real. Was I dreaming? I certainly wasn't, because I could feel the mist cling to my skin. The power of this waterfall was mighty, immense, and powerful. There was a power and brilliance in the tranquility, a place of stillness even in the roar of the water. I could watch this for ages, like an infinite dream that has no end nor a beginning. The final hours of sunset glinted their way through the trees, and formed an awe-inspiring rainbow that arched over this mammoth waterfall. The mist itself acted as a canvas for that rainbow to proudly stretch in such a pristine way, bringing joy to the heart and soul without a single word. I kneeled down and scooped up as much water as I possibly could with my hands, and continued to drink. The water was clean and refreshing, and ice-cold in the palm of my hands. I looked at my reflection for a brief moment and took a closer look at me. My reflection was made visible only by the light, and just looking at myself for just a minute helped me take a closer look at not only me, but my soul within. My soul was reflected upon this delicate water, this fragile mirror, and reflected the truth of its own condition. In many perspectives, this is how we find out the truth, if we just simply take a moment to look at ourselves and reflect back. To reflect back our tears, our joys, our timeless memories, our fears, our battle scars, and sometimes our own pain and suffering. It's a precious and sentimental time to recollect our thoughts and take a deep breath. And that's exactly what I did just now. It then suddenly occurred to me that maybe this remote island was a blessing in disguise. Maybe it was a sign. Perhaps it was someone or something telling me that I needed to get away and be alone for a while. Maybe the hustle and bustle of real life just wasn't for me, and maybe I've had enough. Perhaps readjusting to this new, nomadic way of life was telling me that I should start to chart my own course with no barriers. No place to draw a line. No limitations. The sky was the limit now, and my life was only just beginning. I had a plan now. My plan was to do whatever brings me joy and to follow my heart. After all, my heart was like a compass, constantly spinning and pointing to where I should go next. Guiding me right along to my fate and destiny. I headed back towards my cave, now with the sun asleep and the nocturnal stars and moon awake. I took a few of those enormous green leaves and laid them down in the sand. I rested myself on the picturesque ocean shore. I closed my eyes and listened to the sound of the waves crashing against the jagged rocks and gracefully sliding up and down the coast. The salty oceanic air tickled my nose. My eyes listened to the light of the moon reflecting off the ocean. The feeling of the grainy sand sneak between my shoals was soothing, and still felt a sun-kissed warm to the touch. I opened my eyes and gazed up at the sky. This was the most stars I had seen in ages. The colorful array of stars embedded together in the sky only added to the night's richest blues, purest blacks, and subtle purples that were a treat for the eyes alone. It captured the imagination and whispered to the heart. It whispered so softly that it still remains a mystery of what it said. The brilliant moon was at high stance now. It was bathed in the light of the sun, but shone brighter than any stars that accompanied it. It eased the stars and soothed the mind. It played a lullaby in my mind that could drift anyone off to sleep, and before I knew it, I was one of its prisoners. The bewitching sights and sound of the moon taunted me into a peaceful and restful trance. After a long day, it was just the thing I needed. For who knows what surprises and adventure tomorrow may bring. Every day's a new day. Take advantage of everything today has to offer. Remember the past, live in the present, and look forward for what's to come.